Welcome in. It is week 2 here at the Mello SRX League. We have the street stocks here at Dover. We'll be getting after it here with 60 laps here in the feature race after the heats and the qualifying decided where the drivers were going to be settling out here on Dover. I have my fellow broadcaster up here in the booth. Kermit, welcome in.
Well, I appreciate you having me. Looking forward to this race here at Dover Mile Track. It's going to be a little bit different from what we saw last week at Michigan. So look forward to see these street stocks at a mile track. See how the aggressiveness perhaps increases. Shorter track, usually tensions get a little bit higher at these shorter tracks.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an intense race here as we get going here with our driver intros here as we have your pole sitter here, Mr. Trevor Haley. Got the pole position and won the heat race in the top spot there with his counterpart there on his outside, Brandon Brock, in the P3 spot here, Mr. Bryce Hamrick. Making our way downtown, we got 55, Mr. Charles Cummings. 97 of Brian Conover on his outside there with John Brink as we slide back here with the Coors Light 7 car. Sliding back here into that 6th slot with Chris Phillips on his outside here. Steve Steigerman in the 98 first race here with us in the Mello SRX. Welcome in. Glad that you're here racing with us today. I got Charles Norcutt on his outside, the 67. He's a winner here at Mello SRX hosted races. Let's see if we can get it done with a W here in the Mello SRX League Racing. Going back to the 10 spot here, we got EJ Luna in the number 24 car here, the cohort paint scheme. Dustin Hicks on his outside in the number 11. You got Chris Justice right behind him in the Fago 52 car. And as we slide out to our outside, another new driver that's joining us for the races, Mr. James C. Jones in the 45 paint scheme here. Slide on back here with the 76 of Joe Sullivan. Out to his outside, we got Justin D. Raymond in the 26 FedEx machine. Keep going on back here. We got William Kelly in the 88 UPS paint scheme. We might have a battle between this UPS and FedEx paint scheme here later in this race. And as we keep on going back here, and last but not least, we have Chris Stange in the 72 car here as we're going to get the race going here. So Kermit, like you said, 1 mile track here. Definitely some intense racing that's going to unfold in front of us here as we get going here. Looking forward to some clean racing, some action-packed racing here, as Dover is going to be very intense with these high bank corners with these street stocks.
Yeah, what I like to see is there's a lot of repeat drivers from week 1 heading back to week 2. Really shows you the league we're putting together here in Mello SRX Series. People coming back. Great race at Michigan. I do foresee that this being a good race here at Dover. I think you had an opportunity to go out there, do some practice laps. Talk to me about how this car drives at Dover. Is it wide open? What's it like? Oh, it looks
It,
like we're going green here.
it is pretty much wide open here as Trevor Haley is going to be leading us through the Geico restart zone here, and we're going to get going here. And we are off. Trevor Haley is going to lead us onto our first lap here at Dover, and green flag is out. What an action-packed race we're going to have in front of us here is I think we're going to get going here. Let's see how these
Yes,
drivers...
sir.
Oh, sorry.
Are these drivers wide open going into turn 1? Are they lifting? What are they doing?
It's a little bit of lifting, not too much, but you're basically lifting just to let the car be able to hold itself together. You're trying not to wreck one another in this. It seems like these guys are being patient here off the rip, but a lot of just clean drive interest, trying to make sure that nothing's going to be too crazy here in the start of this race here.
Yeah, it looks like we have 2 lanes going all the way back through, looks like the 11th position. As we see the 94 of Bryce Hemrick looking to make that second lane work on the outside of Trevor Haley, who's a definitely a force to be reckoned with in the Mello SRX Series. In your host races prior to starting this league, I think he's won a few races, so definitely got to keep your eye on.
Yeah, he's definitely taking the most money out of my pocket with these hosted races going on. But glad that he's showed up every week. He's been consistent, and he's showing that he's willing to take down any person that's going to be in his way to win these races. So glad he's here in the SRX, and hopefully he can achieve his first win here at Dover.
Yeah, we see some bump drafting in that previous lap between Trevor Haley and the black 55 of Charles Cummings, Squirrel Turd himself. So I know these cars, the pointed nose, a little difficult to do some bump drafting, but some early bump drafting there for Charles Cummings. It looks like the 7, oh, no, he backs out. Looks like thought he was going to make a move underneath Squirrel there, but backs out, chooses wisely. As we see, it's still side by side for the lead between Trevor Haley and Bryce Hemrick.
Yeah, it looks like these two are going to be the battle here for the race here. A lot of positions are gained basically on the cautions or on tires. It seemed like with the tires in this race, it definitely made a true difference here as the race gets going. And not so much in the early part of it, but there's definitely going to be some later stints that are definitely going to be dependent on those tires. But I think that just goes with racing at the end of the day. Kermit, as we have a caution. Caution, big wreck with the 97 car sliding up into the back there. Let's go take a look at what happened there, but I think we have a caution that's out now.
I was just about to talk about the guys that finished top 5 in the last race that were running up in the top 5. Brian Conover was one of those before early trouble sends him back. We'll have to go take a look at the replay and see what caused that incident. But Brian Conover, drive main, finished second last week. Early trouble here at Dover.
As we try to find the incident here, I don't know necessarily where it's at. Let me go take a look here again. I might have lost it. I might have lost it. So we're going to go and look at the replay here. Let me rewind it back just a little bit. See what happened here with... Oh, well, this is the start of the race, so...
Little inception here. We're going back to the grid. If you guys missed anything, stay tuned because we're going to cover it here. Let's see. Looks like we're on lap 1 of the feature. I think it came on the 5th lap.
It looks like SDK is fucking with me right now, and we are in full mode of just trying to figure things out at the moment. As I'm gonna get going here to the next laps and just... Oh, well, here we go. As we're gonna figure out what happens here at the... Oh, there it is. Boom shakalaka.
Found it.
Finally, way later on, but we see the 97 get loose a little bit on the bottom, and he gets a little extra help from the 6 car of Chris Phillips, which sends him up into the wall, and that's going to bring out our first caution of the race there. Kermit, what do you think about that right there? I mean, it seemed like, maybe touching that apron part of the track is going to get these street stocks loose in this race.
Yeah, it certainly looked like that left front dipped into the apron, got a little loose. I believe the 6 of Chris Phillips didn't leave a lot of space there. Make contact, hard to avoid, especially when the cars get on the apron. We saw before even getting on the apron, these cars are definitely loose. The drivers are able to send it into that turn, so that rear end's going to slide out a little bit. Definitely going to wear out that right rear. Smaller track, it's going to be a little tighter across the board. Corner entry through the corners. It's going to be a different type of track, but I'm excited to see how this race unfolds in these next 55 laps or so.
Yeah, definitely looking to see what's going to happen here coming up, because it doesn't look like a lot of tire degradation is coming off of these cars. It feels like there's a lot of slipping and sliding, but I don't feel like they're tearing them up as much as people think, especially if you're full throttle into these turns. There's not a lot that you're doing that's going to dictate on your right sides being torn up or your rear slipping out, unless you're really driving it in there really too deep. But even if you're hitting the apron, I don't think you're tearing your tires up too much, Kermit.
Yeah, and I guess that's what we're going to see as this race unfolds. You would think, a high banked, semi-fast speed with these cars, you're wide open going into that turn, that it would chew up that right front. So we'll see maybe somebody maybe a little more conservative, lifting before corner entry, and see if they prevail later on as we get a long green flag run here.
Yeah, you would love to see this green flag run happen. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how these guys are going to anticipate racing the rest of this race with a lot of stuff that's been happening first and foremost. But we'll definitely take a look and see what's happening here up in the front as we have Mr. Trevor Haley and Bryce Hemrick here, your top two spots here, holding it down up here, bunkering it down, honestly, up here in the front. Charles Cummings, John Brink, and Charles Northcutt up here in the top five here. You know, as we go back and we go look, let's go take a look to see if Mr. Brian Conover used his fast repair. And as it looks like it, looking at his rear spoiler there, a little crinkled up, doesn't look like he used that fast repair earlier on. I think he's trying to save it, anticipating that there might be some later wrecks happening later in this race.
Yeah, I mean, lap 5, we saw our first one, 60 60 scheduled laps. So, statistically speaking, there's probably going to be some more caution flags. At least that's what's going through the crew of Drive Main, electing not to choose that fast repair. So, we'll see as the race unfolds if that was smart or not. If we go green from here, I think he's going to be in trouble. But again, I think he's going to be safe to take that fast repair later, or perhaps just going down and fixing it the old-fashioned way.
You know, fixing it the old-fashioned way is definitely one way to do it. As we take a look at our leaders once again here on the drone cam, I will say I admire Dover more than any other track when it comes to the cameras and the angles here, because the banking, it's a little bit like Bristol. You got a little bit larger track, especially on the straights, but I love the banking with the track. Any car that you take here to Dover, it's always a fun time, as we do see the pace car lights are off, and we are 1 to green here as we're going to rack them up, stack them up, get going green here for another restart here.
Yeah, Trevor Haley got a good run. We saw Bryce battle back on the outside for a few laps there. So perhaps we can get 2 lanes going. If Bryce receives some help on the outside lane, maybe that'll prevail. So it's going to be interesting to see if we can have multi-groove racing here at Dover with these street stock cars. Uncommon to see it in the NASCAR series across the board. Maybe every now and then you make a move, but it's hard to sustain an outside line at Dover. So we'll see if we can make it happen with the street stocks with Bryce Hemrick and the 7 of Mr. Brink on the outside. See if they can get past Trevor Haley.
Well, pace car is off here as we're going to get going green here. And there we go. Green flag, green flag. Trevor Haley is going to lead us through the Geico restart zone on lap 10 of 60. Hashtag don't look at the top there. Spoiler alert, there might be some extra laps after this race, but Trevor Haley is going to be leading us on this charge here to get us going on the restart here.
Yeah, another good restart, but Trevor Haley is able to dive out, but here comes Bryce once again. Let's see if he goes to the outside. Little bump into the turn. Doesn't upset the car. Good race in there. So we'll see if he goes back to the high side if we saw that last run, or if he maybe, nope, here he goes again on the outside of Trevor Haley. Let's see if he can make it work.
Yeah, Bryce is trying to make a move here on this second lane. He's trying to pinch him down to make sure he doesn't get any room coming up off of the exits here. But it looks like Trevor Haley is going to be able to maintain, as we're going to get a different angle here as they dive it down deep into the corner. Trevor Haley holding onto that line. You hear a lot of tire being rubbing. Do we think tire is going to be a factor here later in this race, Kermit?
Yeah, I'm thinking a long green flag run. Tires they're gonna have to come into play. You know, these cars you're being too aggressive on the tires. You're wide open. You know, you're sliding both corner entry, corner exit. So tires are definitely going to fall off. It's a matter of if we have a long green flag run where it really gets oily, or if they're able to just keep getting those heat cycles and kind of reset that tire life with some caution laps. But Trevor Haley still battling side by side with Bryce. It seems like that's Bryce the only one that's able to make that outside sustain position on the outside. We see Charles coming a little further back in that black street stock, but he's back in that 4th position. It's shocking to me that Bryce is able to maintain that front row on the outside.
Yeah, it's definitely a treat to see that these guys are holding it and maintaining it through the whole field, not just through the top two here up in the front, but they're definitely to maintain the whole field here as things are looking to get underway and looking like a good race here towards the end. I'm just trying to see who's going to be making the moves and who's going to be just trying to, being conservative here, as you don't know what's going to happen here. We had a lot of cautions in the heats. Hopefully, there's not a lot of cautions later on in this race, but as of right now, it looks like these guys are willing to maintain some type of discipline in these first 15 laps of the 60 lap feature.
No, and that's worth noting, as we see Charles coming, making it up to that third row on the outside. So the outside lane can definitely work here in the street stocks. But let's talk about those three cars on the outside. They're able to maintain those positions without being overly aggressive on the pinching. So you can see they're leaving a car half, at least a car or half a car with in between that bottom lane. So they're able to maintain that outside, but doing it conservatively. So we appreciate the good hard racing. You look further in the field. I believe that was the 11 of Mr. Hicks there. Same thing. So if you're going to make that outside work, do it respectfully. And these guys are doing a great job of it here early on.
Yeah, they're definitely taking care of their cars here as we're looking at some good battling going in these exits and the entries cameras. They're definitely giving us a perspective on how close this tight knit racing is going down here at Dover. I love to see this action packed racing as we have a close battle here for the lead. Is anybody able to make a move around the Trevor Haley machine up there in the number 12 car? Is trying to seal off his first win here in the Mello SRX series, Kermit.
Yeah, we see Panic down on the EJ Luna down on the apron. A little confused why he was down there. Is able to get it straightened back out, but curious as to why he was down on the apron, but seemed to get it back collected back together. He's running a much lower line than the rest of them, perhaps saving some gas here in the early goings. Not sure if if it's going to be a fuel strategy race later on, but EJ Luna certainly has the shortest line around the track, as it seems.
There is a
Is yellow
caution.
flag out?
And
Yeah, it
caution
seems
is
that
out.
way.
I'm trying to figure out what happens here, but there it seems like that's that's the part that I don't like about this incident thing is messes it up to find out what happened here. We will
Yeah, look.
go ahead. I was gonna say I'm just gonna take a look here and see what we can find anything that happened here. So go from the back and look to the front here, see if anybody spun out or what happened here.
Yeah, I wonder if it was around the time that we saw EJ Luna down on the. Well, there's definitely contact there between the 88 and the 26. I'm not sure if that's what brought out the caution or not, but I guess we can see here as we let it unwind. Yeah, so the 88 sends it in a little deep, comes up a little bit, makes contact with the 26 being right there on his outside, sends the 88 around. Um, yeah, and it seems like that's where the yellow flag comes out.
With the caution coming out, I mean, we might have to say there might be a rivalry between this 26 and the 88 machine with the FedEx versus the UPS here. Two different shipping companies are battling it out here just to try to win a race here in the Miller SRX.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're in 15th and 17th, so I think I might go with DHL.
Oh, oh, it sounds like there's some different ways of transportation of getting your packages transferred logistically because these two aren't battling it out for jack crap up here in the front. So as we go back up to the front of the field, caution is out. I want to take this time to thank our sponsors here on the stream. First shout out here, Swiss Sim Racing Shop is jumping on board with the Mello SRX pilot season. They're offering our drivers a 10% discount on the store and the 20% discount to our pilot season champion. Make sure to go check them out. They have LED displays and sim rig mounts for multiple accessories for your sim racing experience. Make sure to go check them out on the link above with their exclusive deals if you are a part of the Mello SRX. Also, go check out KGL Creation Lab. They're also jumping on board with us to offer us a 10% discount. They have items such as a sim racing dashboard, sim racing gloves, custom signs, and sim rig stream deck mounts. Make sure to give them a look on the Etsy is where I found them. Definitely go give them a look over there. They're offering our drivers a 10% discount on their items as well. Last but not least, if you are interested in a racing league, such as a late model stock or SK modified series, make sure to check out the Cohort iRacing League. They are a great league over there that's just getting getting the ground running. Honestly, with the pilot season starting off on season one of it, I'm a driver in the series. Definitely love racing with the guys that are over there. Definitely a partnership league with Kermit here, uh, teaming up, being able to kind of coach me through what's been going on with his league to help me be more mature and understanding of the league and what to expect as a race league owner. But I'm having fun over there, and if you guys are looking to get into something like that, make sure to check them out. Cohort iRacing League on iRacing. Kermit, appreciate you joining on board with us as a partner league here over here at the Mello SRX.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it last week, but I think it's good whenever leagues work together. At the end of the day, everybody's looking for a good community to race with, and I think the more often that leagues work together, share their drivers, different days, different cars, I think the better off all the leagues will be. So I do appreciate uh, allowing me to come on board and build a partnership between the Mello SRX and the cohort. And look forward to continuing this and reaching out to other leagues as well. As I think the pace lights are out, and we're going to go back racing here with 44 to go here at Dover. Trevor Haley is going to bring us to the green flag.
Yes, he is. 44 to go here. And I think we got a special person up here in our booth that's going to get us going here through the Geico restart zone. Trevor Haley is going to lead us through it. But I think we got someone that's going to get us going here. DW, take us away.
Here we go. Green flag. Biggity, biggity, biggity. Let's go racing, boys.
Green flag, green flag, green flag. DW, thank you for being up at the booth with us, making sure we're getting this race going underway here on lap 21 of 60. We are getting going here with Trevor Haley leading us on the charge here on the bottom side, which is making a stand here with Bryce Hamrick down on the bottom side, making notion saying, hey, I want to work with you on this bottom. Let me get us going here on the bottom and see if we can get something to pay off here at the end of the day here.
Yeah, there's some more bump draft than we saw it earlier between those two and we saw it Charles coming earlier, but here they are once again pushing him through the straightaway. Let's see how it works in turn one. Was able to maintain that. So bump drafting is a thing. We've seen that, 20 laps in, we're seeing it almost every lap. So maybe you can bump draft maybe a little more aggressively than we predicted on the pre-race show, Mello.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing that a lot of these guys are getting into each other's fenders more than I expected. This isn't Michigan, but apparently it is to them in their eyes because it looks like Trevor Haley on board here with the roll bar camera is diving it deep, keeping that left front tire right on the seam of the apron and the bottom of the track, and he's making it stick. He's not really coming out into the exit up on the high side because if you forfeit that bottom side to the guy behind you, it seems like it's not going to pay off for you in the long run here, Kermit.
Yeah, he's definitely not trying to give up that low line. He's able to maintain that. As you see him, maybe a little blocking action on the straightaway. Typically you're going to see a driver diving down to the bottom on corner exit, going all the way up to that wall, making that corner as wide as possible, maintain that momentum. But on that last lap, Mello, you saw Trevor Haley didn't quite exit the turn, maintain that mid to low line on the straightaway to ensure that he maintained that low line getting into the next turn. As you see, Bryce Hemrick right on Trevor 95's bumper.
Yeah, he is right there as you can't even see nothing but just yellow paint right in front of you as Trevor is just holding on to this show with Bryce just trying to maintain the speed and the gap really to not let anybody go by him on the bottom side here is it seems like that's what's really going to come down to. Even though you might get this high entry, high exit, uh, you know, guys are going to try to take advantage of it and slip around you here.
We're 5 laps away. Once again, Trevor Haley exiting really low to maintain that low line, being very smart with protecting what he perceives to be the dominant line here. We saw Bryce battling on the outside early on, couldn't quite clear Trevor, so Trevor Haley really understanding that he hasn't even maintained that low line in order to maintain this position. But I'm kind of curious. Maybe all this bumping by Bryce Hemrick and this bump drafting is trying to understand when he can make his move whenever he thinks he needs to make this move later on in this race. Early on, they've definitely been the dominant two. So maybe Bryce is thinking like, okay, whenever it does come time, what do I need to do? You see that at super speedways. People time their runs, it's like, okay, 5 laps to go. I need to get into the drafts, see how aggressive I can be and when I need to go. So maybe Bryce is looking to see when he needs to make his move as they see some separation here.
It looks like a lot of separation as the caution isn't out currently, but you definitely see a lot of checking up, and maybe the caution is out. We might have to go look and see if we have some extracurricular activity that caused some of this because the cars are slowing down. Let's go take a peek at what happened here. As I hate to say it, but my incident counter is going to impede on us a little bit here. But we are going to go take a look here at the end. As it looks like, oh, some big wrecking here from the back here. Let's get a far chase camera view from William Kelly's machine here, the UPS machine. As oh, oh, a little
Yeah, I think we need
blanket.
to go a little further up in the field.
Yeah, a little bit. We're gonna go up to the cohort machine up here with the 24 of EJ Luna. We're gonna take a look here at what happened, and it's getting spicy. Ew! Joseph Sullivan, Chris Phillips, and Chris Stain all involved in this. As JT John Brink gets involved in that. Oh my lord! Caution is out, but oh, just it looks like it starts from the 6 coming down just a little bit and taps that 76 up, gets them all loose, and then chaos ensues from behind here as we'll go back to William Kelly, maybe even farther back to Brian Conover here as it looks like he might slip away from the wreck. We don't know. He gets a little involved, a little taparoo here. Big chaos on the bottom side here. Brian ends up eating the wall. The 97 machine is going to be a little bit on damage here, Kermit.
And as we're looking at Brian Conover, I can't help but think about that first incident. Brian Conover dips it down. Maybe his left front gets onto the apron, gets a little loose, and comes up, and Chris Phillips is right there, causes an incident. Now we go back to this incident. Maybe the same thing. We have that green car. Maybe I didn't catch the number, but we have the green car getting a little loose. Maybe James Sullivan. James Sullivan.
Joseph Sullivan. You said that last week, but it's Joseph Sullivan.
James Sullivan, straight from Monsters Inc., gets a little loose on the inside, but Chris Phillips right there pinching him down, and that's when they make that contact. So again, we talked about Bryce Hamrick, uh, Charles Cummings on the outside, leaving that like half car width, between that low line, still able to maintain pace. Where perhaps Chris Phillips is just pinching him right there, not leaving much space. So as soon as that car wobbles the slightest bit on the bottoms, causing that contact, which is going to be the second incident that Chris Phillips is going to be involved in tonight. But really just bad timing with that car on the inside line getting a little loose. But Mello, we talked about it. These cars are able to go pretty much wide open into these turns. So there's going to be a little bit of slipping and sliding that's inevitably going to happen. So if your car on that outside, you have to expect that car on the inside, especially that rear, is going to step out just a little bit. So if you're pinching them down, especially with the net code, it's iRacing, it's a sim, it's a video game. You got to give a
Whoa.
little space. Got to give a little space with these cars because sometimes you never know when it's going to just those hit boxes are going to connect and the car is going to go around.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a little bit of space would go a long way for these drivers, but as we're seeing earlier on, halfway through this race, space is not a thing here as everybody's fighting for track position. It is, the outside line is not going to prevail here as much as what people thought. Pace car is leading us with the lights still on, flaring here with, it looks like we're 2 to go. But yeah, I totally agree with that. It seems like the runs aren't happening on the outside, so people are having to be aggressive on exit, make the run, maybe dip down below, maybe cause a little chaos ensue. But as we go back here, we go look back in the Chris Stange, Chris Phillips, and even sliding on back even farther with William Kelly is coming out of the pits here. We're going to take a look at John Brink, Joseph Sullivan, not James Sullivan. I almost messed up there like you did.
James Sullivan.
Yeah, you got to get it right here the first time. All right, professional broadcast. These guys here within this top 8, though, it seems like a lot of these guys are just holding on to what they got here. Yes, it is. It seems a little bit complacent. Everybody's just trying to maintain what they got. But at the end of the day, I think you're trying to avoid the wrecks and collect the check.
Yeah, and now we're halfway. We've had a couple cautions, so I think now a matter, and we saw cautions. It's not a single car incident. Car spins and then it collects 3, 4, 5, 6 cars. So it's definitely going to be attrition. We do have one faster pair. Um, so when do you use it? And some of these cars had have already used their faster pair, so it might be an attrition race. We're going to see. We're coming on halfway. As you guys can see in your top left, 64 laps. So we're coming to halfway. Pace car's in. Mello, go ahead and lead us for this restart.
Oh, I'm not going to lead us. I'm just going to let DW take us here with his fine voice here. He's going to let us go here as we're going to get going.
Here we go, green flag. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. DW, thank you for getting us going here. Trevor Healy getting us on the restart here with lap 31 of 60 here. Ooh, big checkup in the inside lane.
Checking up.
Oh,
There's
chaos.
a car on the apron.
Dustin
Able
Hicks.
to save it.
Yes,
Oh,
he
my
saved it.
goodness.
He's down to the bottom as we're going to get back going up to our front here. He makes it clean back up on the top here is Trevor Haley, Bryce Hamrick, and Chris Justice up into the mix now, saying, hey, how do you do? I'm the 52 Fago car. I'm going to try to show you what I got up here in the front of the pack. And man, yeah, we almost saw an early caution there right off the restart.
Man, can we start handing out the Hicks Hands Award? Because I tell you what, his hands were busy in that Chevrolet, keeping that car underneath of him. Well done for Dustin Hicks, able to keep that car under him and not collecting the whole field because he was near the front of the pack there, so that could have been ugly. So great job by Hicks maintaining that car. Hopefully he can get back up there and find himself in the top 5 as this race comes to a conclusion. But I don't know, Mello. The Hicks Hands Award might be a thing.
It might be something here as we are looking like there's some more stuff going on here. 3 wide back here between Charles Cummins and Chris Stange here. It looks like Brock was on the outside there. Brandon Brock of himself was... man, things are getting bumpy up here. We might have to take a look at these guys as things might ensue here. Chris Stange and Charles Cummins battling it out side by side with Chris Phillips and Justin D. Raymond. 2 by 2 by 2 as we work our way back through the field. We might see some action coming up here, Kermit.
I tell you what, that rusty street stock, it one of my favorite paints here in the Mello SRX outside of EJ Luna's cohort paint. But it's good looking paint, but I tell you what, oh my goodness gracious, slideways, more contact. Oh my, chaos. Chaos is ensuing. There's cars everywhere, carnage. They're not done. They're still wrecking. Oh, do they save it? Oh my goodness, get the Hicks Hands Award out. We need more trophies.
Yeah, slideways is going to be a new word that I'm going to introduce to the Mello SRX here because it definitely shows that you're sliding, you're going sideways into a turn, and that's what's going to happen here is we're going to go sideways up here on lap 35 here with Chris Stange still leading up here in the front with Charles Cummins still maintaining that 5 spot with Justin D. Raymond just barely maintaining it. I don't know how he held it there on the bottom, but he definitely was doing some wheelman stuff there. As we're 2 by 2 as we go back through the field here with James Jones, Brandon Brock, John Brink, Dustin Hicks still hanging up here. He's worked his way back up into the mixture of the things, Kermit.
Man, I tell you what, we saw some good saves here during this green flag run. Reminds me of Kyle Larson over at Las Vegas. Able to save that car out of turn 2, go on and win the race. So maybe we'll see whether it's either Dustin Hicks or we have Justin Raymond pulling out the victory. Let's see if they can channel their inner Kyle Larson, slide it around the corner and bring it home the checkered flag.
It sounds like you all know too well about that Las Vegas incident with Kyle Larson. So it sounds like you were at the track there. So I'm glad to hear that you were posted up there with Kyle Larson tapping the wall there. But we're going to get back to the Mello SRX of things and see how these guys can hold on to the SRX car, the street stock, to say the least. It's the SRX car for now. But it's going to be the first car of the pilot season as we are introducing the SRX car in the inaugural season. Hopefully, if the season comes out. Ooh, a little trouble there on the bottom there with James C. Jones getting a little loose there. Trouble! Chris Stange just got turned and caution will be out. Let's go take a look at what happened there.
Stange me, ride round, baby, ride round.
I mean, honestly, that's what seemed like what happened there. A little nudge or maybe a little extracurricular activity here as Chris Stange is on the bottom here. Kind of comes up and gets turned by Chris Phillips. It's a Chris on Chris crime there. Kermit, I don't know what to say about that, but I think we might have to Oh, a little extra hit there for it looks like the 97 car of Drive Main, but my lord.
Yeah, I think Chris Kringle's going to have to bring these guys some coal.
Yeah, it's coming up on Christmas time. I definitely think that something's gonna have to be thrown into their stocking, and it's not gonna be good. As we are looking, that was the '98 car of Steve Steigerman. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Correct me if I'm wrong. As we do have a caution that's out. What is that? Four cautions, three cautions, four cautions. I think this is the fourth caution. Lap 40. Cautions are starting to pick up here. As Kermit is going to tell us what he thinks about cautions and the later parts of these races.
Yep, I've said it many times in the cohort, said it last week, but there's most certainly a correlation between laps remaining and the intensity, right? So as the laps wind down, the intensity ticks up, and that's where those cautions are definitely going to start to pick up, right? So, moves you weren't making earlier, we mentioned earlier about Bryce Hemrick perhaps, finding how aggressive he can push, and if he pushes at this turn, if he can dip out and try Ricky Bobby, slingshot, and engage. So testing some things out as this race is unfolding. But now we're on the back third. The back third is the witching hour. So this is where moves are going to be made, regrets are going to happen, and there's going to be one person that's going to be happy with how this race finishes.
Yeah, it seems like that's going to be the case here. Is the correlation, as you say, you use these big words, and I love hearing them come out of your mouth because they don't sound good coming out of mine. But the correlation between the cautions and the intensity definitely picks up towards the end of this race with the cautions coming out more frequently. People are thinking it's go time already. Maybe go time was earlier on for some of these drivers, but go time is definitely now as we are coming to the later stages of this race. Do we think the intensity is going to pick up? Of course. Do we think the cautions are going to pick up? I hope not, but they're going to. That's the inevitable about these races. With it's coming down to the nitty gritty at the end. Hopefully, we can see some action-packed racing here coming up here, Kermit.
Yeah, as we're looking at our current top five, familiar face in Charles Northcutt. He brought it home P3 last week, currently finds himself in third. Bryce Hemrick in fourth. We saw him in second for the majority of this race, brought home a fifth place finish last week. So some familiar faces in the top five. Chris Justice is first race. He wasn't in the lineup last. Excuse me, he was in the lineup last week. So he didn't have as much luck last week. Found himself all the way down in 20th place. So a good showing by Chris this week. So we're going to see if he's able to maintain that, gain some points for this pilot season, go for the championship. Mello, what do we have at stake for this pilot season?
For the pilot season, we definitely open it up to our drivers to have something that's going to be on the lines for them. What it is $100, no entry fee whatsoever to any of these drivers. $100 to our champion of the pilot season, as it will increase for the inaugural season of season one with the SRX car hopefully in play for these guys by season one. But for the inaugural season, it is $100 to the driver that wins the championship. So I think, say the least, that is, free money to anybody that's willing to just show up for 9 weeks of racing and possibly win $100. I think that's a win-win situation if you just show up, be attentive. I think that's the hardest thing for a lot of these guys is schedules, kind of deter things and make things a little harder for others. I think that's the one thing that we count on here is that if your attendance is good, then you're probably going to be up in the top of the standings here towards the end of this league. Kermit.
Yeah, I'm going to look forward to, you think about last week, Michigan, this week, Dover. In a couple weeks, we're going to head over to USA International. So 3 consecutive races with a smaller track in each subsequent week. So it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers are able to make the transition from that mile and a half to a mile to a, roughly half-mile track at USA International. So it's going to be fun to see. I think it's going to be more reflective of the SRX series, but a good mix of tracks in this pilot season. I think that really shows the wide range of driver talent we have here in the Mello SRX. Some familiar faces up front, but as we just talked about, Chris Justice, didn't have so much luck in Michigan, but finds himself here in the front row as pace car is going to dip in. We're going to go back green flag racing here.
Yes, indeed. We have the pace car about to dip in here with the lights off, and away we go, F1 style here. Trevor Haley is still leading this race. Is anybody going to be able to knock him off this high pedestal that he's had here in the Dover race here as These guys are going to get antsy here. Oh, look at Bryce Hammer getting in the bumper. Chris Justice. DW, take us away here.
Here we go, green flag. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Trevor Haley not waiting around. He says, I'm going to take this big old jump and get to the high side. Trying to create some momentum here on this entry and the exit of 1 and 2. So we have some issues going on here towards the bottom of the track. Looks like Charles Cup. Oh, trouble. You saw it live here first. Trouble. Big, big, big trouble. Caution is out. Oh, my Lord. We didn't even make it a lap. Let's go find out what happened, who did it, and whose finger is going to be pointed at here as we look like we're going to be able to see the caution here, Kermit.
Yeah, so it looks like we have the Purple 26 Mello Racing Street Stock Chevrolet driven by Justin D. Raymond. It looks like this might be he might be the culprit in this one as he comes down, not quite clear. Carlo, you guys leaves the space. And unfortunately, just Raymond doesn't sense Charles coming down, but they get straightened out. But then maybe Justin D. Raymond just didn't have enough, and he wanted the low line, and now he's like, you know what? Fuck it, I'm gonna take the high line too. And unfortunately, there's a car up there too. Sends himself around, finds that outside wall, finds the wall, loses his bumper.
Yeah, it looks like this is just an incident where the 26 car had no clue what he was doing out there on the track, has low talent, low skill, and just created a caution here on lap 44 of 60. You hate to see that. The FedEx machine getting into the wall, causing problems, as it seems like it happens in the NASCAR Cup Series. It also happens here in the Mello SRX Series. So,
Bumper, shrapnel everywhere.
It caused, as we like to call it over here, but I think that the Kermit doesn't like it so much, but the cohort big one just happened on track here, Kermit.
Yeah, we might have to rebrand that to the Mello big one after that incident. But Mello, one thing I do want to talk about, USA International, 3/4 of a mile. I misspoke. I said a half mile. It is a 3/4 mile track. So we're going from Michigan to Dover to the 3/4 mile at USA International for November. So if you guys are interested joining the Street Stock Series and the inaugural pilot season of the Mello SRX Series, while we wait the highly anticipated release of the SRX car, or race the street stocks. But if you're interested, for November, USA International Speedway, please do reach out into the Discord. It'll be in the link in the description below. Join the Discord, join the league. It's a great time, great group of guys. And we're definitely always open to feedback of any suggestions you guys have for leagues. Perhaps polls for different races that we may or may not do. So yeah, for November, USA International Speedway, 3/4 of a mile. Come join us. It's a great time.
I think that's going to be something that's look forward to, as the October month was basically an on and off week for the first two races. But as we're going to pick up traction here, we're going to get heavy going with races back to back to back to back to back to back to back, and I mean back to back every Saturday at 9 o'clock. We'll be having races up until the pilot season is over, and then we'll get going with a new season, hopefully with a the field size that we're looking for. It definitely would be within that 40 car oh my god, 40 car gap, as we would love to have that many drivers out there hanging out with us every single week, being consistent. But right now, having everybody here hanging out with us, even if it is an 18 car field, we're having fun with everybody here. Everybody's having a great time. Look forward to just having Sundays here at 9 o'clock. Waking up, starting up everything for everybody here, and just seeing who shows up and having a good time with them, and then hopefully making some more memories than it is making some enemies at the end of the day here, Kermit.
Yeah, so like we mentioned, great group of guys. There's going to be beating and banging that's going to happen. So whether or not everybody leaves happy, we mentioned only one person leaves away happy. But even if there are aggressive driving, what we can say is that throughout the Discord, throughout the week leading up to these races, there's good discourse that happens between these guys. So while they might compete pretty aggressively on the track, when it's all said and done, they can talk smack to one another, but then they all look forward to coming back to the next race. As I mentioned at the top of the race, a lot of repeat drivers here. Some new drivers, which is good because we're growing. Some scheduling conflicts from other drivers. But yeah, come join us. It's a good league.
Yeah, it's a good time as we still see the yellow cars out, or yellow flag is out here with looks like the 98 machine getting his wave around here, getting back onto the lead lap. Kermit, what do you look forward to other than USA International coming up? I think with our schedule coming up, we have Bristol Dirt, we have Kansas, we have North Wilkesboro on the schedule just for the regular season, and then Richmond, uh, Phoenix, and Knoxville Dirt. Which one of those track combinations with the street stock are you looking forward to the most?
Well, being a Virginia guy, I think I'm going to go with the round of 8 at Richmond. It's the last race before the championship race. So I think if you don't find yourself in contention for the championship, maybe you want to make a move, gain those points. So I think I have that Richmond race circled. I'm going to have the Bristol Dirt and the Knoxville race circled to not watch because I'm terrible at dirt. I think I'll stick to asphalt. But that's one unique thing about the SRX series, in real life and what you're replicating here, which I respect, is that you do asphalt and the dirt. It takes a whole other skill set to race on dirt. And let me tell you, Mello, that skill set, those tools are not in my toolbox.
I definitely have looked in your toolbox before, and I haven't seen any of the dirt tools in there. There definitely been some oval, more road course racing than anything. You definitely make more right turns and then left turns in that toolbox, but it's okay. We respect it. Glad to have you over here on the SRX side of things and doing the broadcast with us. It's a good time as we see the pace car as the lights off, and we're about to get going here on lap 48 of 60. Trevor Haley still in the lead of this race. I mean, that's excuse me, crazy to me. Chris Dange, our biggest mover of the race so far, gained 10 spots from his starting position. Our biggest loser of the race so far is Chris Cummings. 9 spots he's lost so far. So pace car's off here. We're going to let DW take us away here.
Here we go, green flag, boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Green flag, green flag, green flag goes Trevor Haley and Charles Northcutt on the outside. Charles Northcutt on the outside of Trevor Haley, but look at that 194 of Bryce Hamrick. He says, "No way, Jose. I'm gonna keep my pal up here and pushing him up to the front." I don't know. Do we think this is gonna last the whole race? We're gonna find out. But things are starting to intense. Oh, trouble! Trouble! Chris Justice, more wrecking from the back of the field. Brandon Brock, Charles Cummings. Caution is out, Kermit.
Yeah, that was a familiar sight. We saw, Bryce Hamrick pushing Trevor Haley down the backstretch. Trevor Haley keeping it low to maintain that inside line, and then trouble in the back of the field. So let's go try. Maybe it was up further in the field. Uh, Initial look looked like the incident happened in the back of the pack, but now that we're looking at this replay, oh, looks like the battle for fourth. They were 3 wide there, Mello.
Yeah, it looks like Chris Stange. I mean, they're 3 wide. Definitely is. It's gonna be a hard thing to do here, but Chris Stange holding that middle line, and I think Chris Justice just didn't know that they were 3 wide there, and you had Dustin Hicks down on the bottom there, keeping his line together on the bottom, Chris Stange in the middle, and just a little bit of momentum coming down from the Chris Justice machine, the Fago machine, collects Brandon Brock there, EJ Luna, and I don't think any more chaos ensues as we look at the back of the pack. But yeah, you hate to see it out of guys that were racing there for that top 5 spot. But caution's out. Trevor Haley's still leading this race. I think that's just something we're gonna have to keep repeating on the whole rest of this race here. Is he's just locked down here in the front. But yeah, cautions on cautions on cautions. Intensity is starting to ramp up here, Kermit.
Yeah, we saw Chris Justice put the gavel down on Chris Stange, bringing out that caution. Is that more Chris on Chris action going on here?
That is a Chris on Chris crime that we've talked about earlier. But Chris Kringle is not going to be gifting these guys anything in their stockings this year. It's going to be a lump of coal, I think, at the end of the day here, Kermit.
Yeah, Chris on Chris crime. We're looking at some C cubed action going on here. But yeah, Trevor Haley dominant early on. Dominant early. Maintain that position. doing a very effective job of maintaining that inside line. He was willing to give up the outside to Bryce earlier. Bryce battled for several laps trying to make it work. Couldn't quite get the run on corner exit that he needed to, which allowed Trevor Haley to maintain that position. So we see Bryce Hemrick here on the outside. Now, if you want to go through the field, talk about some of these drivers, Mello.
Yeah, you know what? With Trevor Haley leading the field here, it's nice to see as we see William Kelly in the 88 UPS machine going around. We go back here to Charles Northcutt. He's definitely been a winner here in the Mello SRX hosted. Dustin Hicks, new to the Mello S side of things, has a little bit of scrape there on the left side. He's definitely been a good guy to hang out here in the Discord and also in the races. He's always a friendly guy. Chris Stange, winner here at the Mello SRX hosted. He's looking to try to get on here and get a win here in the Mello SRX League races. Mr. Brian Conover, he's trying to make his statement here as a short track racer himself. He is trying to work himself into making himself notable here in this Mello SRX League going on here as we work our way back. We got Chris Phillips moving up 4 spots from his original spot. He's here in P7, looking to make a name for himself in the Mello SRX League as James Jones, our new driver, up 8 spots from his original position with the autism awareness paint scheme on the 45 here. He's trying to work his way up through the field here and make a name for himself. As Charles Cummins' first race here in the Mello SRX League. Glad to see him here, Mr. Squirrel Turds. Down 5 spots though, but we look to see what he's going to be doing here. We have this ugly 26 FedEx paint scheme on the outside. Justin D. Raymond, he's just looking to not wreck anybody out in this race. Keep going back here. We go to Brandon Brock here. It started with the Mello SRX League. Didn't get to do any of the hosted races. I think he did the last week of hosted races, but he's here hanging out with us. We got the 52 of the Fago machine of Chris Justice hanging out with us. Always a good guy. He's a bumper toucher. He's got a bumper toucher award in his pocket. EJ Luna in the 24 machine is definitely here hanging out with us. Just want to make sure I got everybody. And we go back. We got Steve Steigerman, first race here with us in the Mello SRX. He's here to have a good time. He said he's wanting to race with us and learn from his mistakes more than his wins. He's trying to get, a feeling of how we race here in the Mello SRX, and I think he's seeing it here first and foremost. And last but not least, the UPS machine of William Kelly here hanging out with us, Mello SRX. Always a pleasure to have him up here hanging out with us. As that is your driver grid.
Now, Mello, I got a quiz for you. Charles Cummings from Bakersfield, California. What NASCAR driver is from Bakersfield, California?
Kevin Harvick.
Ding, 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 ding. Forever. Kevin Harvick from Bakersfield, California. Charles Cummings trying to channel his inner Kevin Harvick and close this race out as we're coming to 10 to go. Well done, Mello. I'm impressed.
I was going to say, I think I should get 10 points for that because that's probably the only driver that you can list off that I know where their location's at because they talk about it so much on the NBC and Fox broadcasts about, where's Kevin Harvick from? He's from Bakersfield, California. And it's like, oh my God. So, yeah, easy. I think that was an easy question, to be honest with you. Whereas, yes, I don't know if I could have answered any other drivers, but I mean, hell, you probably could ask me about some of these drivers in here. I probably wouldn't even know where the hell they're from. So that just shows you how much I care about this league and how much these drivers mean to me because I love to know where everybody's at and where they're from. But pace car lights are off here as we're going to get going. Green here on lap 53 of 60. Let's see if they can hold the fort down here in the front. Kermit, I'm going to let you take it away here. I'm going to put DW aside here and tell him to hush up a little bit. But take us through this Geico restart zone here.
All right, well, here we are. We got this pace car going in. I think Hulk Hogan is driving the pace car tonight here at Dover International. So pace car's in. Trevor Haley once again leading us to the green flag. Bryce Hemrick, familiar face on the outside. Great restart for the front two. There they go. Huge restart by Trevor Haley. Bryce Hemrick's able to maintain second. Let's see if he dives down in front of the 67 Charles Northcutt or if he tries to make that outside work. Looks like he's going to maintain the outside. Charles Northcutt's going to make sure fill that second place, see if he can get a run and clear him on the inside. Looks like he's going to clear him for P2. Chris Stange, saw him earlier involved in an incident up there battling for P3. See if he can make it move on the inside as we're coming down 10 to go.
Yeah, 10 to go indeed, or these guys are going to have to be making some moves to get something going here for the rest of the race. As I mean, I like to see this, though. We have a close battle. Everybody's just trying to fight for position, fight for every little inch of room that they got because at the end of the day, that little inch could really affect you at the end of the day as you have the 67 of Charles Northcutt pushing the hell out of Trevor Haley, just trying to say, hey, I might get you loose a little bit here with a little arrow, but I'm gonna try to win this race just as much as you are. Okay, so yeah, I love to see this tight battles here at the end of the day, and look forward to seeing how this finish of the race ends here, Kermit.
Yeah, I'm surprised the 12 machine still has a rear bumper after all the pushing that Bryce Hemrick and, as we just saw, Charles Northcutt has given him time and time again, lap in, lap out, uh, pushing the back of that 12 machine, maybe trying to get him out of the way, but definitely maintaining that position as Chris Stange is making move up to P2 now. Some side-to-side contact. Oh, oh my goodness. I thought the 94 Bryce Hemrick's going to send it to the inside, 194. He doesn't. Chris Stange is able to maintain seconds. First time we saw him, all the furthest he's been up in the field, up 15 positions from the start of this race, Mello.
Yeah, it's crazy to see how much that he's gained out of this race. Chris Christine, one of those notable drivers that I could say that he has a lot of skill, a lot of wheeling and dealing behind that wheel, but he's got a 194 machine. Oh my lord, it's getting super tight here. Back in the back here, battling with the 194. Chris Christine holding on to this second place spot over Charles Northcutt and Bryce Hamrick, Kermit.
Yeah, so Chris Stange, he's been involved in real life driving, drivers and teams throughout his life. 3 wide for second, Mello. 3 wide is exciting racing. This is what we came for. Where has this been all race? Tell you what, it's coming down to the winding down to the final laps. And these guys are sending it.
They are full send mode as caution is
race
out.
car. You hate to see it. You hate to see it.
What has happened as pace car is off, and we got to throw the yellow flag as we are going to be going to the back of the pack here and finding out who did what and what just happened. What just happened? Let's go find out here. As we're going to go with the far chase view and take a look here, a closer look, and see what happened here. As it looks to be, ooh, little commotion going up here in the front. Let's go up here to the 11 machine. Your boy, Dustin Hicks, up here, wheeling and dealing. He gets a little bit of a run here and just gets a little bit of a turn on the 26 of Justin D. Raymond. Wow, you hate to see that, but I don't think that's where the caution comes out. Let's see what happens here for the rest of it. Looks like there's some more commotion as... Oh, Kermit, take us through this one right here.
Well, it looks like we have the 88 UPS, maybe late for a delivery, trying to show up. FedEx dives it down almost on the apron, but no way he's able to maintain that line as you see him drifting up the racetrack, getting to the back of Squirrel, saying, "Let me get your nuts."
Yeah, it definitely looks like he's trying to get all the nuts in that package, but at the end of the day, he did not succeed on that, and he is going to be spinning Charles Cummins around, and it's going to cause him to bring out the caution, as I think this might end his race as we continue to see how he wrecks out. Does he actually hit anything? No, he's good. And he gets it back going again. Hate to see that out of that camp, as Trevor Haley's just on the full charge here, still with lap 59 of 60, which means we will be greening out the green-white checkered here as the pace car. Oh my lord, did you see that? Let's just take a replay one more time at how fast this pace car gets out of the pit lane here, Kermit.
Well, like I mentioned, Hulk Hogan, he's an aggressive guy. He wants to show these race car drivers up. He has one opportunity, and there it is. There he is, 0 to 100 on the backstretch here at Dover. Trying to make the most of his time, so let's tell you what. Do you have we're under pace laps here. I think we have some time for some ketchup or mustard. Yep.
Ketchup or mustard?
Yep, ketchup or mustard. Brian Conover, ketchup or mustard.
I believe he was an all ketchup guy. I don't have the thing up to choose these guys for ketchup or mustard. But I believe that there was someone that we needed to go look at that said that they were all about the mustard sauce. I don't know if you have yours pulled up or not, but I have mine pulled up. Was Chris Justice said, I believe he was all mustard. All mustard out of the 52 camp here, the Fago machine. That guy's a weirdo a little bit with this. I mean, let's be honest. Fago, not my top pick on a soda pop. But, he's bringing out the Fago. He's bringing out the mustard. He's saying, hey, I might not be traditional at these cookouts, but I'll show up for the party anytime you want it, Kermit.
Yeah, so it's interesting to see. We asked some of the drivers pre-race leading up to these races, some questions about themselves. One question we asked about if they prefer ketchup or mustard. Myself, I'm a ketchup guy. Probably because it has, more sugar than mustard does. It just tastes better. And being Pennsylvania, Heinz, ketchup, it all just goes together. Yingling, you have Yingling, ketchup, hot dog, some sauerkraut. What else do you need? You don't need much more. So looking at some of these guys, uh, I'm trying to see if anybody has their favorite track listed as Dover. Mine is personally, but nonetheless, I'm up here in the booth. So it doesn't really matter what my favorite track is. We have some favorite drivers that Jimmy Johnson, appreciate that. Not in the lineup today, so we won't mention his name. He's not important. Um, yeah, I'm trying to see most people prefer ketchup, so that's why this league is as good as it is. Joseph Sullivan, James Sullivan, formerly known as, says F ketchup mustard all the way. So that's probably why he finds himself back in the 17th position and 17 laps down because he preferred mustard because he doesn't like the ketchup to the field.
What a great pun you did there. I will say this as we're talking about ketchup, and the pace car lights are still on here, as I think we're going to go one to green. So, with me trying to work out, be a little bit healthier, and I do like my ketchup, we have just installed, which I'm all full Heinz. I don't eat any other ketchup. No Hunts, no whatever branded, store branded ketchup.
There's only one option.
It's Heinz or nothing at the end of the day. And I have just tried out for the first time yesterday Heinz no sugar ketchup. Do you want my honest opinion on it?
Send it.
If I wasn't trying to be healthy, it's great. If I wasn't trying to be healthy, I need my fucking full Heinz or nothing. That's it. Bottom line, because Heinz said so, okay? I need my sugar in there because my lord, it tastes so much different without sugar in there. It tastes very bland. It tastes like Hunt's ketchup. Hashtag Hunts, you suck.
Hashtag Hunts, you suck. That's a fact. So if you're gonna eat ketchup, you might as well enjoy it. Just go for it. Don't get the sugar free. It's like drinking a diet soda. If you're gonna drink soda, just drink soda. Compensate with a little bit of exercise. Work out a little bit harder so you can eat more shitty. That's just the reality of it. You don't have to sway one way or another. You don't have to do it all or nothing. If you're working out all the time and eating healthy all the time, your life sucks. So you got to have balance.
Well, as we talk about balance, we are 2x2. Bottom side and high side here is we're going to get going green here is
Oh, this is it. This is a green-white checkered. How did we get here? We're talking about ketchup.
we're talking about ketchup, but we're going to go green, white, checkered. Green flag's about to come out here. Lap 62 64. Who's going to win this race? It's coming down to the nitty-gritty. And boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing. Trevor Haley leading us on the big charge down here in the bottom side. Who's going to be able to go and match his pace here as he gets a good entry into the turn as he goes to the high side there, Kermit?
Yeah, so that was great. He blocks the load line and then he goes a little bit higher so he gets that good arc into the turn so he makes sure he gets that corner exit speed. We see Bryce Hemrick still hunting him down as we saw early in the race. Here he is once again getting that nose onto the back of his bumper. We're going to be coming out of the turn, getting the white flag, one to go, getting loose. Contact!
Contact is out. White flag is out, though. Trouble on the high side. Bryce Hamrick is going to be your leader of this race, though. Chris Stage on the outside there with Chris Phillips on the bottom. Who is going to win this race to the end? We are coming out of the back stretch here. Oh, man, it's going to be a tight-knit battle here as Bryce Hamrick still holding that bottom side. Chris Phillips right behind him. Chris Stage on the high side. It looks like Bryce Hamrick is going to come away with this first win of the Mello SRX Series here at Dover. Bryce Hamrick, your winner, 194, has won the race here at Dover.
Wow, what a finish. We saw in this race, Bryce Hamrick was all over the back of Trevor Haley's bumper for 50 laps of the 65-lap race. And it looked like he was timing it up, maybe getting a feel for how aggressive he can be. And I think we found that limit coming to one to go. True to our word, intensity is as high as it gets. coming to 1 to go. Bryce Hambrick gets it done. Chris Phillips in second. Chris Stange in second. All that Chris on Chris action doesn't matter. They bring home the podium. What a finish. What a
Well,
finish.
let's get this correct. So Bryce Hamrick in first, Chris Phillips in second, Chris Stange in third, and then EJ Luna in fourth, and Brian Conover in the fifth. Your top 5 being rounded out here with Mr. Bryce Hamrick leading us here on the charge. We'll go up for some post-race interviews here. Let's go see who we can get. Panic, this is Kermit and Mello at the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Doing good there. You got a P4 spot here in the Mello SRX here at Dover. Talk us through getting that P4 finish as you were having issues earlier on in the races, at least in the heats. What do you think got you up here into that P4 spot?
Yeah, we had a bad performance overall, but we did have some speed. We saved our fast repair for like maybe the second to last caution, and then on that last final green white checkered, it came down to the guys in front of us wrecking for the lead. And then when it came down to the white flag coming out of turn 4, I believe Brian got a little help from the car behind him, got him a little out of shape, and I just made a run on the outside, and I barely squeaked by him by like a hair.
Yeah, we saw you involved in a lot of trouble in that heat race. You saw your fair share of trouble in that feature. Like I said, you had to use your fast repair. Talk to me about like the racing and the racecraft throughout both the heat and the feature. Did you see a difference between the two?
Well, yeah, the heats were a little messy, but fortunately we got to clean it up for the main. And honestly, it was almost like super speedway racing, but I guess you had to look for that space on the bottom, that room to make the passes. I don't really think you were gonna get any passes done on the outside unless you had fresher tires, but it was pretty tough to pass. You definitely had to keep your momentum, otherwise you'd lose time to whoever's around you.
Super speedway racing with a bottom dominant racing line. Mello, I'll tell you what, that's an interesting race.
Yeah, it sure was. Definitely seeing Panic appear in the front. I was not expecting that from the starting position that he had. You know, he worked his way up through the field and got him up here into the top 5. So Panic, congratulations for being up here in the top 5. Anybody want to thank or any sponsors you want to shout out here?
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. Everybody that's been making it out here, and our sponsors for the league. I believe it's SSS. You got to correct me on that, but yeah, thanks for putting this together for us.
Yeah, SSR, but we'll take it. You know, you definitely are acknowledging something out of here, so we'll take it. Panic, appreciate you showing up, and hopefully we'll see you here in week 3, coming up at USA International.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
Staying just as Kermit and Mel up in the booth. You got a copy?
Now I got you.
Talk us through that top 3 there. You know, it definitely was a rough and rowdy race here at Dover with the street stocks. Talk us through that finish there on the green white checkered.
Man, I don't know what to tell you. I kind of figured it out a few laps in and decided to get a little bold and muscled my way all the way from last place up in there. And man, I saw the two of them get together and I was going to shoot the middle and it just kind of, I thought we were going to wreck and I lifted and that let everybody gather it up. And I took my 3rd place finish, but I thought I was going to win it. Man, Mello, that was a good time.
Yeah, before that last caution, you were definitely making a run. You got up there to P2, looking to make a move on Trevor's inside, then that caution came out. How'd you feel about that last caution?
Well, I was kind of hoping it was going green because I saw what you saw. I thought I was going to get him there in that next corner, at least get a run and try and make something happen. But Trevor's tough. Bryce is tough too. Quite a few guys are pretty good there. I got to say, last 5 laps, 10 laps of the race was great though.
Well, appreciate you showing up this week. You know, you've been here for 2 weeks now, and you've definitely showcased your capabilities here in the street stocks. Look forward to having you here. I know we got a bye week coming up, but finishing out the rest of this pilot season and hopefully joining us for season 1. Do you got any sponsors or anybody want to shout out here?
I'll just make it really quick. Thanks, Mello, for hosting this up here. Got to give a shout out to all my Fueled Up guys and my Fueled Up team. Congrats to the winner, Bryce. Tough luck, Trevor. Haha. I love you. Anyway, thank you. Thanks, Kermit, for race control, and y'all have a good night.
Appreciate it, Chris.
Cheers, buddy.
Bryce, you got a copy?
I do. How's it going?
Doing good. We're up here. I know you just made an entrance for everybody else here. Talk us through winning that race there at the end.
Oh wow, it was an exciting finish because it went back to the previous caution where I restarted second and then I got moved back to fourth, and being on the outside on these restarts is just not as much of a advantage as being on the inside. It's a massive disadvantage. So when I made that move 3 wide to get back to the inside and try and get a run at Trevor Haley again, and then that caution came out and I was in second, and I either have to hug it on the outside of him or I got to try and stick it back to the inside and sit behind him and see if I can maybe get the bumper to him and move him up out of the way. And then we were coming to the white flag, and I don't know if I got him loose or if I did get into him because I got a 0X, but I don't know if I ever got him sideways. And then once we must have made contact, he got up out of the groove and got up into the wall, and I wasn't trying to wreck him. I was trying to get the bumper to him in turn 1, not in turn 4. But once I did, then gosh, I just floored it back, and the whole pack was just swarming behind me. And then I just prayed that nobody tried to move me that way, even though it was not the way I wanted to win it. But gosh, that was a tough race because you had to have the inside. The outside line really couldn't do anything. And then we got to the inside, and then it was just you either have to move a guy or what I told one of the guys was make room or take room. And that was kind of the name of the game here. And unfortunately, I took it, and not the way that I would normally like to, but it was still great to get a win because it brought out the Dark Knight scheme, brought the blackout, and must have been good luck because I've won here in officials, and man, was that exciting. I think we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, that last few laps were definitely exciting. Last green, white, checkered. You said Trevor got loose in front of you, potential contact there. Now, if he doesn't get loose there, you guys take the white flag. What happens in turn 1?
My floor's my foot's to the floor. I was gonna go all the way down in and try and see if I could give him a bump and run and get him moved up out of the way because I don't like to wreck people. I don't like to wreck people for the win. That's just not how I like to race. I like to race aggressively, but with respect. And I hope he understands that that's not how I wanted to win it. But I would have liked to just move him up out of the way in turn 1, just because I thought if I did it in turn 3, I don't know if I would have had enough time to get past him and get my nose past him. But I wanted to do it in turn 1 and just give him a bumper and move him up out of the way and get him loose. But just rattle his cage.
Yeah, you race in the top 5 all day, race cleanly, in between all those cautions. So I don't think there's anything intentional there. Congratulations on the win, Mello. That was a good racing there by that top 5 in that final green, white, checkered.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. That was definitely a good finish there at the end. Bryce, congratulations on the win. Definitely would love to see you come out for the next few races here, battle out for the top spot here in Mello SRX here as we'll be rounding it out here in 4 weeks' time with 5 weeks, including the bye week, but 4 weeks of racing, rounding out our top 12 that will make it on to the playoffs. Any sponsors or anybody you want to shout out here before we cut you loose?
Yeah, I'll have to thank Maconi Setup Shop is a new sponsor for CCH Motorsports. Rod Car, Dubby, Mello SRX is obviously got to give you a shout out there. Super Hammer channel for YouTube and Twitch. It's been a lot of fun, and just getting to race with these guys was awesome. And being up front is a ton of fun, especially with these cars. I love the street stocks. I feel like I'm really good in the street stocks, and I was good at Michigan. Had a chance to win. Obviously, I had a good chance to win here tonight, and hopefully, I can keep doing that because if I can't win every race, I'm going to try and win the points. So I'm excited for the next one.
Well, congratulations, and then we'll definitely see you in the next one.
Yep, thanks, guys.
All right, that has it. That's the post race interviews. We got Bryce Hamrick, EJ Luna, and Chris Stain up in the booth to talk to us about the finish of that race. Kermit, what's your final thoughts on this race here as we come down to an end here?
So there was a little more intensity this week than we saw last week. Shorter track. We talked about at the top of the show that we predicted perhaps a little more aggressive driving, but we saw that you can be aggressive but still have respect. We saw Bryce Hemrick throughout the majority of that race on the outside. Charles Cummings was on the outside, leaving that space, was able to maintain pace, showing that you don't need to pinch the drivers down in order to maintain speed on the outside line here at Dover specifically. But some respect being shown throughout the field. Some things we can learn on. Understanding these cars and how aggressive you can be with pinching and bump drafting. So there's a lot to be learned in this race, Mello. But I think overall there was some good racing. So we'll see how the drivers feel with some of the post race dialogue throughout Discord throughout the next week. But look forward to next week, or excuse me, November 4th. We have an off week. November 4th at USA. 3/4 of a mile. So let's see if the transition from the mile and a half to this mile to the 3/4 mile. Let's see if that's like a good natural progression, and if the driving continues to improve. But overall, I think it was a great race. Loved Dover. Fantastic finish between those drivers. You hate to see Trevor Haley getting into the wall on that last turn, but Bryce Hemrick was pushing him all day. Just found that limit, unfortunately, right at the wrong time for Trevor Haley.
Yeah, I definitely like to see some of the action that was going down here as we look at our top 5 in the standings at this point. As Bryce Hamrick moves up 4 spots here, taking on 74 points here with the championship leader at this current point under race 2 with Brian Conover in that second spot. He didn't move a damn bit. Charles Northcutt moving down just 1 slot. Justin D. Raymond moving up to the third spot, or tied with third spot with Charles Northcutt with 55 points. 5th and 6th rounded out with Trevor Haley moving up 3 spots with 54 points. William Kelly moving up with 51. And the big mover, if you look here, is EJ Luna and Chris Phillips sliding up to the 7th and 9th spot with Chris Staines tied with EJ Luna. And rounding out your top 10 is Chris Justice with 46 points. Kermit, do you think this race will have a big impact on the rest of the season with how we have the schedule set up with the USA International coming up, Dirt Bristol coming up farther later on in the season, and then, or at least for the 4th race, I believe it is, let me make sure here as I look, Kansas, questions on if we're going to race Kansas or not. We're going to leave that up in the poll. I know that's talked about now, but it'll be left up in the poll to make sure to see if we want to race Kansas or if we want to go to something different. And then rounding out our regular season will be North Wilkesboro. Do you think this race, of all races in this 6 for the regular season, will be the most impactful on the rest of the season?
Most impactful? No. But I think this race is going to be an early turning point. I think every race is going to be very important at leading up to these playoffs, right? But we definitely saw some contact happening throughout this race. So what that's going to do is that's going to change drivers' perceptions of how to race people. So coming into next week, USA International, we saw the late in that race, Trevor Haley and Bryce Hemrick getting into it. So at USA International, where it's most likely going to be a bottom line dominant track. Perhaps we're going to see a little more aggressive between those two. We see Charles Cumming and Justin Raymond getting into it. So I think the dynamics of every race is going to change based off the previous race. So is this race going to have an impact on next week? Absolutely. Is this race going to have an overall impact on the champion of this pilot season? I wouldn't go that far to say. I think it's a great start for Bryce Hemrick, having consecutive top 10 finishes here. Brian Conover consecutive top 5s. So it's good to start off quick, getting wins, getting top 5s. But I don't think the second race of the season is going to have that big of an impact, but it will most certainly change the dynamic for next week.
Yeah, I think with how things have impacted standings, at least from this race, granted, I think, yes, he's taken on a bigger charge. He has a 11-point cushion over Brian Conover in that second spot. The second through maybe the top 10 roughly are within 15 points of each other. 15 points is a whole lot. I mean, if one person doesn't race, you move up a spot basically at that point. So, look forward to these guys finishing out the rest of this campaign here with us in the pilot season. But I think as of right now, Bryce Hamrick leading this probably is going to change here towards the end of the season. He's going to have to be consistent here to hold on to this lead here, Kermit.
Yeah, I think I'll close with, I think Trevor Haley is going to be a guy to keep your eye on. He dominated the Mello SRX hosted prior to making this into a league. Now getting sent into the wall on the last turn, I think he's going to have a little chip on his shoulder, something to prove in these coming weeks. So if you're asking my prediction for USA International, my money's on Trevor Haley.
Yeah, for USA International, I definitely would have to turn to the short track guys. I'm going to have to turn to Brian Conover and Trevor Haley. Trevor Haley definitely dominant in any track that he goes at, but I think with a little bit of practice, this man is going to be looking out, like you said, chip on the shoulder, trying to redeem himself from this race at Dover, and trying to take over the points lead here against our current leader, Bryce Hamrick, up here in the top. Kermit, always a pleasure to have you here on the stream, and always in the broadcast booth, being able to talk to us and give us your honest insight opinion about how things are going on in the race. Look forward to having you here in the future races as things are almost to the halfway point of the season, but I think we got a good season on our hand here.
No, as always, appreciate you having me.
Yep, as we are winding it down here, thank you guys for hanging out with us. This is the Week 2 Mello SRX broadcast here at Dover. We'll catch you guys in 2 weeks' time at USA International. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us, and look forward to seeing you.